So tell me how, if we have a client, which we do a lot on our side, we are not a credit repair company. We don't have any of the level of skill that you have in working with the credit bureaus. Tell me if the credit report came across to us, or someone had a credit report that they were all too familiar with and needed more help than maybe what we could give. How do they approach you? What do you need from them? How does your service work?
Right. So typically, the way that it works from a lender partner to us is that you're going to have your file and you're going to have your what if simulators, and you're going to be
Yeah.
able to determine what you can do with them.
Right.
And lenders are variously skilled at this. Um,
Sorry. That's very true.
right. So some lenders will send me stuff, and I'm like, if you paid on their credit card, you're good.
Yeah.
And then some lenders,
This is way over my head.
yeah, well, some will just bang on the file and play with what if simulators, and if they
Yeah.
roll out their 3 month plan.
Mm-hmm.
So depending upon where you're at with that, if it's too heady, you can send it over to us. And then what we do from there is we'll do a deep analysis on the credit profile, and we'll make a determination if we can take on the client,
Okay.
right? Based on a lot of factors. It might be that the client's in over their head; they don't have any disposable income. There's just nothing there for them to be able to help themselves.
Right.
In some cases, the realtor might have a 30-day timeline, for the client, and that's sometimes not going to work.
Yes. When it's a 6 month plan or
Right. So
process.
yeah, so we'll pass on that, unless the realtor understands that hey, this could be a short-term situation, or if it's actually a really long-term situation, we're just transparent about that. Hey, this is going to take a minute. It's going to take some time. Do not go into contract.
Yes, please.
Put that on your funnel back here
Right.
that you're going to nurture. So then once we get the file, we create a customized plan based on the client's needs. And in some cases, it's just a matter of restructuring debt, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to restructure their student loans. And there's a reason for that, probably too technical right now to go into that.
Yeah.
But the mortgage score responds very well to 10 student loans that are all then on deferment, that they owe more than what they
Right.
took it out for. Restructuring those, you'll get a bump in score. In some cases, the client has had their life issue and they're on the other side of that,
Right.
and they don't know where to start, right? Where do I pick up the pieces? How do I reestablish credit? How do I get things going? In a lot of cases, there's derogatory information on their credit profile, and it doesn't necessarily meet the legal requirements to be there.
Right.
That's the credit repair piece, right? Companies are variously good at this. We're a high-end company. We're very good at finding these inaccuracies and errors. The Fair Credit Reporting Act is very specific about the way that an item needs to look in order for it to maintain its status on the credit report. We're not debating whether or not the collection amount is legitimate.
Right.
The mechanics of the account is what we're going after.
Right.
So in some cases, we can clear off items based on illegalities. Sometimes we need to settle items to get them removed.
Tell me what you're seeing on that, because we're seeing, various cases where a client has settled the debt. They cannot get it off their report.
That's right. So it's tricky, right? So luckily for us, this is our business, right? So we know what collection agencies are going to give us a hard time, what are not, and the pathway to get that removed. There's a few out there that we don't recommend settling because they're not going to remove it. Yeah, they're not going to remove it. They're not going to do it. So we're going to target the ones that we know are slam dunks. And if necessary, if it's a matter of qualification or not, we'll even tackle ones that we think that are going to be high probability outcomes, but might be very difficult. So they're all different. They all have their own,
nuances.
Yeah, and for me, if I was a collection agency, I would be interested in the money only.
I know.
Like, why do I care?
I don't need to continue to post this down the road. I got my money. Our relationship's over. Clear it off the
That's right.
report.
So I'll tell you a secret. A lot of them actually do that. They'll tell you no. They won't send you a letter, but the second it's paid, they roll pretty quick.
Wow.
Even though their policy
That's
is
good to
not
know.
to. Yeah. So they're all a little bit different. They're all like, they're all variously bad children at certain times. Same with the bureaus. I mean, they all have their own nuances on how to make things work.
Yes. So let's say, and I'm asking this personally. I mean, we could talk about this on or offline, but we run across this every day.
Mm-hmm.
So we have clients, and they have one account that needs to be paid or settled and removed, deleted.
Right.
If we send that client to you, what's your process for helping maybe with just that one account?
Right. So if first of all, we're going to see what the account is, right? Who the collection agency is, and then we can make a determination. In some cases, we can just guide the client. say, hey, look, this is, if you do this, this, and this, and you use this verbiage, it's going to work. In some cases, they need to settle it, and then we need to get involved.
Right.
In some cases, they need to settle it, and we need to get regulators involved. So
How
there's
long does that take?
it depends.
When I was in law school, that's what every professor told me to say. It depends.
Yeah. So generally 2 weeks. Generally
That's
you're going to
good.
see a turnaround in 2 weeks. The setup has to be correct, though, right? So we have to be able to have a very factual issue here, and realize that collection agencies are not liked by regulators.
They're not liked by me either.
Yeah. So so there's a little bit of pressure there, a little bit of kind of bullying that happens. But as long as everything is factual and on the right side of the law, you can usually push enough to get where the collection agency says I don't.
It's not that big.
Yeah. Now if you send a regular complaint, say it's not yours and it's you're wasting your time. It has to be much more high level than that. It has to be an actual case, right? So
I think that a lot of credit repair companies, which you're the only one I like. I will say this: over 20 plus years of experience, I have not found a great experience outside of you. But you'll hear that well, we're going to send letters, we're going to dispute this, we're going to continue to send letters, and then we just get the report back, and nothing has been done other than people have filed disputes on credit, and we have to have those removed to underwriting, so it goes right back to where it was.
No.
So I have to say this is not the way you do business, thankfully, and I don't think that method works anyway.
Doesn't. It's low level. I mean, you can throw spaghetti at a wall.
Yeah,
and
sure.
You're gonna hit something.
I've never seen it stick one time. And that princess though is the issue. So
yeah. It's about being transparent. Okay. It's about, if I have a file and I look, because I'm the one that does all the analysis still. I have a team, but I'm the one that's, everything comes across my desk. I talk to all the clients. It's just the way I do business.
Absolutely.
Right? I want to make sure, I've tried to do it other ways, and the message gets confused and there's problems. So I'm like, okay, we're on a recorded line.
Yeah.
We're going to have this discussion. So if the client is really, really far gone and they're positioned to where they have the disposable income that they want to do something about it anyways, then we'll take that client on. Right. If they're in a situation where their lease is up and they have to move in 30 days and they've got a 520 mortgage score, unfortunately, probably not gonna, take that client on. So it's really just about being transparent. Hey, this is what's going on. When the realtor reaches out, this is what this looks like. This is what's happening. Because on our side, for our partner business, it's really a client, which is sometimes emotional because they just got denied for a loan, and then there's your realtor who really wants to sell a home.
For sure.
Right, and the lenders are actually the easiest of all this. They'll reach out about stuff only because the realtor's reaching out to them. Usually, lenders are like,
well, I mean, we want to close the loan too, and make my business philosophy. Oh, there's my earring. Great. Add that to the video.
Cut.
No, it's fine.
Cut in.
No, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Or you do the swipe. That's not my favorite.
But what happens is we want to close the loan too, and we don't decline any clients. So our whole thing is it's not if, it's when. So if they don't qualify immediately, we will put together a plan, whether that be on our side or your side or whatever. We want to give everyone a loan.
Absolutely.
We want everyone to have a home.
Sure.
And if they're willing to do the work, we're willing to do the work, right? But sometimes it just takes bringing an expert in, because clearly I'm a lender, not a credit repair expert.
Sure.
I am a credit expert in looking at credit reports, but having the tools and things like that, that's just not my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So,
and you actually look at the credit report. That's interesting, because
I do.
a lot of
fine-tooth
a lot of lenders don't.
Yes, I do.
They just look at the numbers. Oh, they're not qualified.
No. No. I have built a business on helping people.
Absolutely.
That really need help.
Right. And kind of going back to different skill sets of lenders. In this industry, the disparity of good to bad is absolutely astounding.
Yes.
How many are bad?
Yes.
Right.
Unfortunately.
So when I first entered this industry, I was talking to my wife. I worked for a software company, and I've always been the credit guru. I've always been the go-to guy, and she was always pushing me to kind of do my own thing. So I worked for the software company, and then I flying all over the states, which got really old, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she had said, "Hey, why don't you try to figure this out? Because this is what you love. You
Right.
love stocks, you love credit, you love anything to do with money,
Mm-hmm.
and you're especially really good with credit." So I got in this industry, and for a year, I just did pro bono work to see how it worked, to
Right.
see what that would look like with the lender side, to be their consultant.
Right.
And that's when I discovered how bad this industry was. It
Mm-hmm.
almost caused me not to go into it because I didn't want to sign my
Understand.
name on an industry that is just gross.
Yeah.
But thankfully I did, because what happened was that I quickly became
The
busy.
expert.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Right.
because there is so much,
There's a need for it.
there
It's
is,
a
yeah.
large need.
Well, not only for that, I mean, we have a Chase account with one of the branches. We have
Mhm.
a lot of different accounts. It's needed not just on the mortgage side, on the banking side, on the auto
Absolutely.
loan side, which I don't.
Insurance, probably.
Sorry, auto loan guys, I'm not really a fan of those because you can't. That's a different kind of person who can't get an auto loan.
Yes.
It's
Very
kind of.
different.
Not, we don't have people that are working on that, but those are different.
Different qualification.
Different kind of a thing, right? But everybody really needs, um, you know, a credit consultant on the sideline.
For
So,
sure.
and that's the reason why I started my YouTube channel. Go to Justin
Shameless
Mirche.
plug.
Yeah, go to Justin Mirche on YouTube. Subscribe, please. I started that about 8 months ago, and the reason for that was because I'm watching all these credit repair companies that are so
Oh,
full of it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta counter this stuff.
yeah.
And a lot of
Put the right information out there,
right,
please.
right, and the thing is that the truth is fine, and I watch people put stuff out there that is just like amazing. I'm like, wow, that is horrible advice, and it doesn't work that way. And then they come to me and they're like, "Hey, what
But I
about this?"
said,
Yeah, and I'm like,
I saw this.
TikTok is not the best.
I've seen some good advice on TikTok, but I've also seen some things I'd be like,
Yeah.
please do not share that with anyone. And it's got a million
It's got a
views.
million views. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So there's no way to decipher the good from the bad, unfortunately,
Right.
unless you have, a good mortgage person that, has deciphered who's professional in the business and who's not, or a great credit person, and which lenders are great and which ones are bad and which collectors are good, and well, there's no good ones, but you know what I mean. I was like, you know what I mean.
And there's actually a couple collections that I have a high regard for. They're within the confines of the law always.
That's great.
They treat the people very kindly. They remove once they pay. So they're few. They're
You
just
need to know who this is.
yeah. They're just there's just as many bad ones too.
Right.
That take advantage of
Right.
people. Tell my clients that they're gonna wait for them after work, and like it happens. Like they give them these lines of just fear tactics. Your basement type. Your junk debt. They buy it, they repost it to their credit, and then they tell them all
I'm gonna
kinds
find
of
you.
yeah. I'm gonna, we're gonna file a lawsuit against you. That's always my favorite. Just know that if they tell you they're gonna file a lawsuit against you, it's not happening. They don't tell you if they're gonna file a lawsuit. That's not something they tell
Right.
you. They
They just
set
do
that
it.
up.
I was like, they just do it.
They set that up. Takes them oftentimes months and sometimes even close to a year to get that all set up. But in the meantime, they're trying to collect, but they're not going to give you a fair warning. Hey, so you can always spot a scam, really,
Right.
if they're like telling you they're gonna. I've never seen a heads up. Hey, by the way, you're getting served tomorrow.